All right, I'd like to call over the Lower Salford Township Board of Supervisors work session of April 15, 2026 tax day. And ask everyone to join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. That brings us to our public comment agenda item. Is there anyone wishing to be recognized? I'll take the floor for 1 second. Two community events occurred recently. One is the Harleysville Baseball Opening Day, which was a sunny day, but rather chilly. I think we were all in attendance. It was a very nice event. And we wish them the best of luck this season. And fish stocking, which you may discuss a little bit. Saw some real nice photos. So two community events, both went off very well. So with that, we'll move on. I'll take a motion to approve the work session minutes of March 18, 2026 and or March 31st, 2026. Comments, questions, revisions? Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Public Works Director, Mr. Jones.
Good morning, thank you. Update on some projects. The Main Street sidewalk saga continues. Still don't have a date from Verizon. They were supposed to do it last weekend. The plug got pulled, I guess, by the higher ups for some reason, so they're working to try and reschedule. The issue, the concern is that they're trying to work around the dentist office hours so they don't have any interruption in their service. So, and they currently own, they have Verizon as their primary, Comcast as their backup communications. So they don't have the backup because Comcast line was severed. So they're reliant on just the Verizon, so they want to make sure that it's done after hours. So everybody's trying to accommodate them and get when it's, you know, no impact to their business. So still trying to work out a schedule on that.
It will be delightful when it is.
Yes, it will. The Burgersville Road Bridge project, no update from Montgomery County. Salford Quarry, contractor has a meeting this week with EPA and the Army Corps to discuss the alternatives to the failed HDPE piles that they installed. So they're still looking at steel sheet piling. So hopefully by the end of the week, I'll have some indication as to how the meeting went, but probably won't have a schedule. But I wouldn't expect Quarry Road to be open for a little while yet. So that is an ongoing issue as well. We have Harleysville Materials that's sweeping the township streets. It's not a terrific job in my opinion. So those concerns have been communicated to the Corps. So working through those. Our Centrax adaptive traffic signal system. Had a couple opportunities to meet with some people. One was the new sales rep from Signal Control Products. They supply all the traffic signal equipment for everything in the township. And then also with PennDOT regarding the communications of the fiber going back to their traffic management center. There's been an issue with the fiber for some time now. Apparently it was damaged during a fire last May or June. There was a barn that burnt down along Mainland Road there in Telemenson. So the fiber has been inactive. They've tried to make a repair, but it was unsuccessful. So in just working through all these issues and trying to figure out what happens when it turns out that when there's no fiber communication back to the TMC, that the signals are just operating on the time of day programming. So we don't have the adaptive capabilities. So that's a concern. So trying to work through with PennDOT to try to figure out what the next step is to try to get the fiber back up so that we restore the adaptive capabilities. We have a traffic adaptive system along Main Street. And excuse me, and it includes the two signals on Harleysville Pike, one at Park Avenue and then the other at Oak Drive. So I guess there's 4 signals in the township that aren't well, actually, the ones on Wambold Road are part of the system now, the new system for the 309 connector. The only other two that aren't are along Harleysville Pike at Landis Road, and then at Salfordville and Morris Road in the Letter Rock, Village of Letter Rock. So everything else is on the adaptive system. The adaptive system it's a dynamic system that allows the traffic signals to respond to the traffic demands in real time. It's not instantaneous, it takes a little while for it to catch up and for it to learn. But if there's a sustained event, like if there's an issue on the turnpike and everything gets diverted onto Main Street, the system will recognize that and provide additional timing to allow the mass of traffic to flow through the township. So that system is currently not functioning because of the fiber issue in Tolminson, that everything feeds back to PennDOT's Traffic Management Center. PennDOT took the position that they didn't want municipalities housing their own individual systems just because of the ongoing maintenance and concerns and operations. They wanted, more control over it. Even though it's our system, we own it, but they control it. So everything goes back to them. So the gentleman from Signal Control Products, offered a kind of a temporary solution that's some kind of a radio communication to bounce around the hiccup, the interruption. I don't know why would we pay for something that's an issue in Tolminson, even though it affects us, but it also affects the Wambold Road corridor as well. So trying to work through all those issues to come to some kind of resolution, and maybe there's some type of a redundant system that could be, implemented that would be maybe housed here, housed somewhere locally, that if we have an issue with the fiber off-site that we have no control over, that maybe, our system would still function. So
when that system is down, does it just go based on regular timing patterns?
yes, there are timing plans that are programmed into the controller. Each traffic signal has a controller, and with the adaptive system, with the fiber optic interconnection, that the controllers talk to one another. So one sees what's happening, and then it communicates that to the next, to the next, to the next, so that, if you do have an issue with traffic, that it allows it to continue to flow and you avoid that specific bottleneck. But yeah, so when it doesn't function, there are set programs that are programmed into the controllers that dictate the timing. So Main Street gets X amount of seconds of green. If there's turn lanes, every phase will get a dedicated amount of time. There is some flexibility in that depending on volume, but it's not a dynamic system where it will adjust based on traffic patterns.
So I was saying, from history, when we were first getting this system installed, the township had requested that we have our own server here in the township to control the system. I think some of the systems they had installed prior to that, some other municipalities had that capability. But they decided at the time that our system came in, they were not going to allow that as much. So we fought for it for a while, and fortunately we didn't win that battle. But so now here we are with a system that's not functioning, $1 million time.
Well, and that was what, 15 years ago, at least, that the original adaptive system. We just recently got a grant and upgraded to the latest, the EDaptive system of the traffic management system, so that it's all cloud-based. So it's supposed to be, the latest and the greatest. And that was one of my questions. So if it's cloud-based, then why is it reliant on the fiber? I'm sorry?
It still needs to receive the data. If the fiber optic's down, it's not receiving the data. So
yes.
You can have it anywhere. It's down, it's not getting the data.
Yeah, so
Who's
it's not.
the contractor responsible for making the repair? Is it not the contractor making a repair?
I don't know.
Armor was in the box yesterday at the time, but I know.
Okay.
I think they're making repairs, so it might be worthwhile asking PennDOT, is Armor making the repair of the fiber optic, and how soon do they think that'll be done?
Yeah, the latest. I was at a utility symposium earlier this week, and gentleman from PennDOT was there and I asked him about it and he reached out to them and yeah, they said they tried to make some correction. But it did not work for whatever reason. I haven't had a chance to follow up, but I will follow up and try.
They were out there, so.
Hopefully hopefully they're working on it.
I'm
So,
sorry if this is redundant, but I just want to make sure I understand. So our lights won't talk to each other right now? Like our lights within the township?
they'll talk to each other, but they won't talk to the traffic management center back in King of Prussia.
That would actually make the change.
So that, all the data is being, basically, it's stopping at where the fiber is disconnected. So it needs the fiber to transmit it back to the traffic management center in King of Prussia. And then it communicates back to the traffic signals to make those adjustments. So with that interruption, they can talk to each other all they want, but they're not receiving any information that allows them to make any adjustments, the signals to make any adjustments.
So we'll lean hard on that, get that resolved. That's just my, do we have to do together, so keep pushing. Thank you.
You're welcome. We also received approval from PennDOT for the westbound left turn lane at Quarry Road on Main Street. So, that came in yesterday, so I reached out to Higgins to get some pricing to implement that. So if you're heading west on Main Street at Quarry Road, there will be a dedicated phase for, if it's warranted, for traffic to turn left on the Quarry Road.
It is.
No, I mean, if there's traffic there.
Oh.
If demand, if there's, yeah, you're right, if there's demand, it will allow traffic to turn left. And give it a dedicated phase. So, sewer authorities gearing up for their force main project, they're staging materials. I don't have a definite for when they're supposed to start work yet, but I think I told you my request was that they make sure they have all their materials on site before they start, and we don't want this start, stop kind of a situation, so. Hopefully, well, within the next couple of weeks, I would anticipate that project starting. In conjunction with the closures, there are several storm sewer pipe crossings on Quarry Road that we're going to tackle. It's old corrugated metal pipe that's been in the ground for years, and it gives us an opportunity to work under their traffic pattern and their closure to get the work done as efficiently and as safely as possible. So we're going to undertake those. There's also a small section of Quarry Road between the widening for the new development along Main Street and Fairway Drive, where the curb ends. It's a small section, maybe 150 feet, where the road kind of narrows. So we're going to look at widening the road there to provide more of a consistent width along Quarry Road, and then add some additional inlets because there's a stormwater problem. It's where we're at the dip where the big pothole was, after the winter season. So we're gonna try to, we will be making some improvements there. Mr. Bergman mentioned our trout stocking was a tremendous success. It came together. It was touch and go there for a while, but we pulled it off. I want to thank the police department for all their assistance. We had 4 officers that were there in attendance. We also had representatives from conservation officers from Fish and Boat Commission that were there to speak to the kids and the parents. So that was good. We had about 36 graders from the Salverton Charter School. And then we had probably 50 preschoolers from the YMCA, and probably just as many parents and grandparents that were there for the photo ops. So it was good. It was a good event. Police department provided us with a lot of tchotchkes and giveaways for the kids, so that was much appreciated. I appreciate everybody's support in that.
Were they pulling fish out of the lake, out of the ponds?
No, well, we borrowed another thank you to Tractor Supply, because they have their watering troughs, that they're big aluminum watering troughs. We borrow them. So then we fill them up with pond water, and we actually put aerators in them so that the fish will survive for a extended period of time. And then we had 5 of them this year. And then when the fish are delivered, they get transferred into those tanks. And then when the kids are there, we bought a bunch of small nets for the kids to handle, and they scoop them out of those watering troughs and then dump them into the pond. So the kids really enjoy it. It's everybody looks forward to it every year, so. We're also thinking of ways that maybe how we can expand it to. Yeah, maybe incorporate, homeschoolers, or, maybe some special needs. That, maybe just a small group where, just them, so it's not overwhelming kind of a thing, so. There's opportunities for it to grow, so we're looking at those as well. We talked about the pedestrian bridge that we might be able to acquire from Heartland Demolition. This is, I think Grace has some pictures.
Wow.
Sorry, that's not it.
Looks like a bamboo farm.
So Mike Hart of Heartland Demolition is doing a project at the old Quest Diagnostic Building in Collegeville. The site's gonna be repurposed. So what he has is there's a 30-foot contact pedestrian bridge, the galvanized steel structure. I reached out to Contact, and the structure was installed in 2018. So it's not a terribly old structure. And they're telling me that the useful life's 100 years. I don't know that anything lasts 100 years.
Go on.
So, and it originally cost around $30,000. Now that doesn't include foundations of site work, and everything else, so. But that just gives you some idea of the value of the structure. We talked about locations for this and not just having it being a yard ornament somewhere. So we're looking at a couple of different locations. One obvious is Jacob Rife Park. We've got that tree line, and that's that stormwater swale there between the two meadows. The grading works the best down towards the creek, which is to the right, but there's floodplain issues there that we need to be, I think we'd probably be better off staying away from, if at all possible. I mean, 30-foot bridge sounds like a big span, but when you start dealing with floodplains and trying to get it elevated enough so it's not impacted by floodwaters, it shrinks pretty quickly. So the other location that I was looking at is more to the left, right there at the corner of the meadows. And I think that's, the grades there would be more conducive as well. In between, it's pretty steep slopes. So it would be difficult to construct a trail that would be somewhat accessible. I don't know that it would fully meet ADA, but we could try. I think that gives us our best opportunity there. And it's all more towards the headwaters. So we've got less runoff and less flooding concerns. So it wouldn't necessarily have to be, a really elevated structure. So the approaches would be much simpler. The foundations would be much simpler. Another idea that popped into our head was at Stover Road. We have the trail that comes from the Hidden Creek development that goes to nowhere, and with the Allebach property potentially coming on board. But again, we've got flooding concerns there, because that really floods that whole meadow area and that by the Stover Road house.
Is that the one that goes into the Hennings lot?
Yes.
We could make the connection there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's more on the leg that's coming off after you make the turn where the bridge is.
Mhm.
It's down, and then to basically right across from the Allebach house. There's a trail that comes from the development, the Hidden Creek development, and then ends up going nowhere.
There's a bridge already there.
There's bridge abutments there. Yeah, so right there to the left there from off of Creekview Drive, there's a paved trail that goes down. Yeah, right there. Up Grace. Yeah, right in there. But again, we've got flooding concerns there. And I don't think a 30-foot structure would be sufficient there. I think that's a longer structure to get us out of harm's way and get us high enough where, so I think that would be
What's the cost of acquisition of the structure itself?
$12,000 is what he's asking for.
We'll give me.
And you like the condition of the bridge?
It's a galvanized structure, and everything that I've seen, all the pictures of, and my inspection, there's little to no rust on the structure at all. Yeah, I think we could, easily get 30 years out of that structure. In the right location, and I think it gives us kind of gives us a kickstart in trying to, make those connections with the trail at Rife.
As long as we have use. It seems like.
Yeah, I think a $30,000, I'm trying to get an idea of current cost. I haven't gotten a call back from the contact, but they're a well-known entity in the construction industry and the bridge industry, so yeah, exactly. I've got no concerns about the quality of the construction of the bridge. It's just finding the appropriate location.
It's the backing line.
I think it's aluminum. I think they're aluminum treads.
So what about the connection from the area behind the right barn? That field, did you address that completely? Did you have a culvert separate yet? Like the overflow parking area they use for like the larger events?
Oh, yeah, we put I think it was a 36-inch storm pipe in there.
So that's resolved, that's.
Yeah, yes, and there's just pedestrian access across that
Right.
as well, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like, if we can get it for the right price, I think it's probably good investment.
I tried to ask for a donation, but wasn't buying. Wasn't biting on it. What's,
Right.
all I can say is no, right? So, if the board's agreeable, then we'll try to negotiate a better deal.
Any objections or concerns? Yeah, as long as you don't, put it behind the shed.
Right.
Well, that's interim storage is gonna be, we'll try to find a spot, maybe we can,
How do you-
it'd be nice to put it there.
Put it close to where you're gonna need it.
Yeah, so that we're not transporting it a second time.
How does it get
Just
a crane?
Yeah, the crane would have to lift it and we'd have to put it on a flatbed truck, but we have, our tree guy has a
Cost.
massive crane and we also have access through Saxon
That's
Sons
the
for
cost as well,
a low boy that could transport
So
it.
that would be additional.
Yes,
cost.
okay, thank you. Speaking of Rife, the phase 2 of the stormwater project is moving again. We're gonna be installing sandbag cofferdams. What we did in the first project was instead of there's like 500 feet of cofferdam. These are sandbags that are just placed on top of one another to prevent, the stormwater from impacting the project and the work that we're doing. So they get lined along the creek. So what we've done in the past, instead of, we would need 5,000 of the individual sandbags. What we did with the first project is we got what they call bulk bags, or 3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot. And filled them, instead of with sand, we filled them with, we call it grit, it's screenings. It's just small stone that water will flow through. That we filled them with and then lined the creek with that, and that was perfectly acceptable to everyone involved. So we're looking to do that again, and get that started. This is a project that we're doing in conjunction with the Perkiomen and Watershed Conservancy. And Ryan has lined up the volunteers from the PA Outdoor Corps that will be here for the next 2 weeks. The original intent was for them to fill all the sandbags, but because it's such a monumental task, we're gonna do some of the smaller sandbags that they can help with, but he's gonna have them also do some of the plantings along the project as well. So we're getting volunteer help with that project. So that's gonna start, we're starting that now, getting ready for all the sandbags and putting them in place, and then hopefully the weather stays dry and take advantage of the dry weather where we can start doing the excavation. And the idea is to create an overflow for the stream So in high water conditions, it flows into that lower meadow. And then captures some, we get some infiltration, but then it just meters it as it exits that area. So we're reducing the impact of the storm surge, so to speak, of the high water events at that location, which lessens the amount of stormwater going downstream. So it reduces the erosion, it reduces the pollution. It goes a long way to satisfying our MS4 requirements. So that's that. We have a 2009 GMC dump truck. This was acquired used. Geez, 4 or 5 years ago now, during COVID, one of our dump trucks was in an accident. And during COVID, you couldn't get a truck, you couldn't get repaired, you couldn't get anything. So this was in the fall when we needed a truck, so we bought this truck used from another municipality. It's at the end of its useful life. It's struggling to pass state inspection. The replacement vehicle for this truck is coming in the next few weeks. So we've had some conversations with the golf course, since they, have use for a small dump truck for primarily an on-property vehicle only. It has minimal salvage value for us, especially since it can't pass inspection, won't pass inspection, that anybody that's looking to purchase this truck would have to spend a significant amount of money. So the thought was that if the board is okay, that we just transfer that piece of equipment to the golf course, so that they would have it for their use. Just looking for some feedback and any thoughts that you.
Is it primarily, is it engine work, body work, or kind of?
It's frame rust. It's the environment in which we work. It's just with the salting and it's got a spreader on it. It's got a plow on it. They could use it. They help us during the winter with their parking lot, plowing their parking lot. It would also free up our backhoe, because our secondary backhoe, we park out there for them to use to clear their lot, but they would have this vehicle to do that and to salt and then to help out wherever. But yeah.
I mean, if the golf course wants it and you're willing to give it up, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, like I said,
The
it's
concern would be the long-term safety of a vehicle that doesn't pass inspection. I agree with it. I mean, there's farm equipment that people use it.
and if it's an on-property use, vehicle,
High speeds.
and they have, a very capable mechanic there that can address any issues that they would have, and they're fine with the limited, usability of the vehicle. So
Yeah, I mean, if we put it on the NHTSA bid, we get
peanuts.
$1,000 for our parts.
And if they have a, legitimate use for it, which they do, because they
Better.
routinely borrow a truck from us, to do projects and to do whatever. And it's one of those things, once you have that type of vehicle, you always find more uses for it. So I think it's gonna have a lot of utility for them. So.
I don't know if it was. Any objections? You got your marching orders. Now, let's be glad to look at that.
Thank you. Just an update on some department activities. The pedestrian bridge, along Bullfrog Creek, that's been completed. We did some storm pipe work on Manor Road. The base repairs and the all-way stop were installed on Oak Drive at Moyer Road, and that seems to be functioning properly. There's a few unhappy motorists, but
Any
overall.
accidents?
Great.
Go on.
Great.
Lastly, we just want to announce that we have hired an assistant director of public works. Gentleman's name is Andrew Irick. He comes to us from Hatfield Township. He's been working there for 7 years. Prior to that, he was a foreman for a fairly large landscaping company, so he's got managerial and supervisory experience. Highly, highly recommended from the folks that we know at Hatfield Township. So he's I think he's going to be a tremendous asset, and it's part of this succession planning for the department. And I would envision him being here for a long time. So I think he's gonna do well. I think everything's gonna work out right. We're gonna get to know each other real well because, you know, we're carving up my office and to accommodate two of us. So it's either best friends or worst enemies, one or the other. So we'll figure that out, but he's excited to start. We just had a little luncheon meet and greet with my team, with Andrew, so everything went well. It's, you know, he's very personable, very knowledgeable, he's very eager, very project oriented, and always looking for what's the next best thing, which is the kind of mentality that, you know, that we try to bring, and I try to bring to the department, to the township. So
He has started.
he will start May 4th. Yes, so at the next meeting, I will bring him to introduce you to them to everyone. So that is all that I have. Be happy to answer any questions.
I do have one question.
Sure.
Is there a township policy or regulation for pavers, landscapers, roofers, just to put their signs up anywhere? Their sign, they can throw those anywhere, and they stay there for as long as.
Where's Mike when you need him?
You're touching a nerve.
Well,
Not here.
it touches my nerve too. That's a zoning issue?
It is, and I think it,
Okay.
and Mike,
Every Thursday, he goes out, every Thursday, Mike.
Yeah,
canvasses the town.
signs that are not mine.
Okay.
There are some, if it's on a private property, like, and someone's doing work on that property.
That's different,
they
right?
have-
Yes,
If they're just sticking them up at the corners of, you know,
that's not allowed.
intersections,
Okay,
that's not.
okay,
And Mike does
that's
a
all.
regular Thursday morning,
I've noticed more, the last week or two, I've noticed a bunch.
yeah, well,
This heat.
Yeah, I know we have our signs up there for the open space right now. And up through the election, so there are just more signs in general, but I don't,
well, business signs, if they're not taking place on the property.
Right.
Where the activity is taking place, are not allowed.
Okay.
So if
That's
they're at intersections, then they're just.
That's
because they're
all. Okay.
Trying to get
I'll
business.
give Mike,
Um,
does he just pick
he
them up?
goes out and just takes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
Goes
great,
in the back and stuff.
great,
I think if you were to open the trunk of the car right now, you
okay,
would see quite a few.
okay,
I will say last Thursday, he did not get to the signs because
Okay.
we were out doing the stream cleanup
okay,
in Heckler Park.
okay.
So, yeah, we opened up the trunk and I'm like, oh my gosh, there must have been 10 signs in there.
That's helpful, thank you.
No, just a quick couple of questions.
Yes.
On the right roof, is there any progress on
on the house,
that? Yes.
that's gonna be an Andrew project.
Cool. And then the other item, just on that pedestrian bridge, once we come up with a proposal for the location, you know, I can get the rough test ride belts. Curriculum watershed, and the park board, historic society, just keep everybody healthy.
Sure.
So, thank you for your efforts for all that.
You're
That's all I have.
Very good. Moving right along. State Chief Moore.
Just an update on the impound garage with the grant award that we received. We began looking at builders to accomplish the building. Identified one builder who's co-stars. So we have already initiated conversations with them. They're actually going to be on site tomorrow to look at the location of the proposed garage. The only thing that they do not do is the site work. So I'm also in communication with a company to do the site work before the actual garage gets put in. Pricing wise, fractions of what our last proposal was. So that's looking promising. So hopefully by Friday, we'll have a good round number as to what the entire project's going to cost.
Just as a point of interest, we're thinking about putting it on that property right behind, if you look on the other side of the scout trailers. Right there on the grass area. Would allow tow trucks to back into the site, so you have
Landscape, everything here and there.
Once the covered parking goes in, you won't see it. Always thinking it.
Then the only other thing I had is we do have the meeting scheduled next Monday for the Country Fair Days pre-planned with representatives from the JCs, fire department, EMS, and police department. That's it.
Sounds good. Any questions for board? All right, thanks, board. Moving right along, building and zoning director is absent today. It'll fall to you.
Thank you. Mike reported that there were 28 permits issued thus far in the month of April. There is a zoning hearing board scheduled for May 14th, 351 Cricket Lane, sunroom building addition. Variance is needed because of an additional 38 feet from the high tension power lines where a 50-foot setback is required. This will be on planning commission's meeting next week. Planning commission heard about the sketch plan for 110 Castle Road, Fox Lane Homes. It's about the 110 age restricted dwelling units. The solicitor is working with or has received a model amendment from the developer for an LPOD type of change to the zoning, which would allow that to which not that project moving forward if the board approved. Draft.
Bless you, I guess.
Yeah. Bless you.
The LPI zoning change there, that would be a full zoning change. That's not permitted in what's that, R1A?
It is LPOD is currently permitted in our way.
Okay, all right.
So
So
there
it
would
would be
be
a-
some tweaks to it
Yeah.
for property size and things
Well,
like
that's good.
Draft planning commission agenda for April 27th, 351 Cricket Lane, zoning hearing board application, the Indian Valley Regional Comp Plan discussion, and several ordinance amendments to discuss, including stormwater management, data centers, the LPOD for 110 Castle Road, plant listing, minor land developments, and speed limit, adding new roads to the speed limit ordinance. Then for the draft Board of Supervisors agenda for May 6th, 488 Carlisle Pike, final land development approval. It was approved by the planning commission or recommended for approval by the planning commission at their March 25th meeting. And in 531 Main Street, Clements Mill, also recommended approval by the planning commission on 325. That's all.
Sounds good. Any questions for the building and zoning director associate? All right, move right along. Township manager, Mr. Jakowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to turn things over to Grace. She's going to discuss the resolution that is needed for our application for the C2P2 grant, which is for the funding of the acquisition of the LMAP.
Thank you. So you'll see that there's two resolutions. One is just a resolution that is for the signing authorities, which designates Township Manager Mr. Jakowski and Chairman Bergman as the signing authorities for this project. And then there's also a resolution to apply. So it's what typically you guys see for an application of this, and we're going to be asking for $2 million. Originally, I think we were thinking in the 500,000 to the 1 million range, but Natural Lands Trust has advised us to ask for more because they have seen up to 2 million be given for these types of projects. I think historically, in the past few years, I've seen 1 million as the cap for something like multiple large acre properties, but we'll ask for 2 and see what happens. It's a 50-50 match, but I think we're gonna have to match more than that anyway, so.
Well, you hired consultants for their advice, so it would be silly, I think, to fly in the face of that advice. So with that being said, is there any objection to asking our friends that, is it DNR for $2 million.
I make the motion that we approve resolution number 2026-11. And also the resolution, please, that designates the township manager, Jakowski, as the authorized official to act on behalf.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Good job, Grace.
I do have one item of, for the executive session item of personnel.
Very good.
No, will be to return.
Excellent. So with that, I think I'm motion to adjourn. Second. Moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you all.